Stop romanticizing success. It doesn't reward effort. It extracts payment. And it doesn't accept comfort as currency. It demands blood. Everything you admire was purchased, not with motivation, with sacrifice, with isolation, with pain no one applauded. You say you want more money, more respect, more power, more control. But you've never asked the real question. What are you willing to lose? Because everything costs. The bill always arrives. You want discipline? It will cost comfort. You want dominance? It will cost approval. You want freedom? It will cost security. There is no version where you win and keep everything. That's a lie weak men tell themselves. Right now you're paying already, but you're paying for the wrong life. You're bleeding time, bleeding focus, bleeding potential. For what? Temporary comfort? Cheap dopamine? Validation from people who wouldn't survive your goals? You're bleeding. You just chose the wrong battlefield. You think pain is optional? It's not. Pain is guaranteed. The only choice you get is direction. Pain of discipline, or pain of regret. Pain of isolation, or pain of insignificance. Pain of growth, or pain of stagnation. Either way, it demands blood. The version of you admire, he's already bleeding. He wakes up when it hurts. He trains when it burns. He works when it's quiet. He sacrifices when no one sees. That's the cost. And most men hesitate right here because they don't fear hard work. They fear losing comfort. They fear losing excuses. They fear losing who they are now. So let me ask you something directly. If everything costs, what are you willing to bleed for? Your comfort or your potential? Because you cannot protect both. And the longer you delay this decision, the more expensive your future becomes. Comfort isn't harmless. It's expensive. But the charge doesn't hit your bank account. It hits your future. Every shortcut you take withdraws strength. Every delay accrues interest. Every excuse compounds weakness. And you don't notice it at first because comfort doesn't scream. It whispers, relax. You deserve a break. Tomorrow works too. And tomorrow becomes a habit. You think you're resting. You're actually decaying. Not physically. Internally. Your edge dulls. Your reaction time slows. Your hunger weakens. You start negotiating with standards you once swore were non-negotiable. That's the tax. And it's automatic. High performers don't avoid pain. They manage where it comes from. Weak men avoid pain. So pain chooses them. Different battlefield. Same blood. Comfort is seductive because it feels earned. You worked hard today, so you scroll. You trained yesterday, so you skip today. You tried last week, so you pause this week. Tiny decisions, massive consequences. The world doesn't collapse when you choose comfort. It quietly replaces you. Someone else studies longer. Someone else trains harder. Someone else stays sharp while you soften. There's no announcement, just displacement. Here's what nobody admits. You're not exhausted. You're overstimulated. Your brain is flooded. Cheap rewards everywhere. Instant validation, instant distraction, instant escape. So real effort feels heavier than it actually is. You're not weak. You're conditioned. Conditioning can be reversed, but it requires friction, and friction hurts. That's why it demands blood. Not literal blood. Discipline blood. Ego blood. Comfort blood. The part of you that wants easy must die. Not dramatically. Quietly. Daily. You say you want power. Power requires control. Control requires sacrifice. Sacrifice requires loss. Loss requires pain. Trace it back. Everything valuable sits behind discomfort. Look at any transformation arc. The version people admire isn't born confident. He's cornered, broken, pressed against something stronger than him. And instead of folding, he hardens. That hardening process costs something. Old habits, old friends, old identity. Most people try to upgrade their life without downgrading their comfort. Impossible. You can't carry both. Growth adds pressure. Comfort removes pressure. Choose one. Here's the brutal truth. You don't fail because you lack potential. You fail because you protect comfort more than ambition. Read that again. Protection instinct is strong. You protect your ego. You protect your time. You protect your image. But you don't protect your future, because the future doesn't feel urgent. Comfort does. This is why average is crowded. It's padded. Safe. Air-conditioned. No sharp edges. No bleeding. Just slow erosion. Elite environments feel different. Sharp. Demanding. Unforgiving. Performance-based. No emotional discounts. You either rise or you're replaced. No one claps for effort there. Only results. Results require something most people refuse to surrender. Ease. Comfort addiction is subtle. It doesn't look like laziness. It looks like balance. It looks like mental health day. It looks like I'll start Monday. It looks like I deserve this. And occasionally those things are valid. But when they become rhythm, they become rot. You don't need more motivation. You need a higher tolerance for discomfort. Motivation spikes. Tolerance builds. One is emotional. The other is trained. Train it. Every time you choose the harder option, your internal identity shifts. You stop seeing yourself as fragile. You start seeing yourself as capable. That belief compounds. Just like comfort compounds weakness. Same system, different direction. Imagine two futures. One where you protected comfort. One where you protected potential. 5 years from now. Which version respects you? Which version commands presence? Which version doesn't need validation? Respect is self-generated, but it's built on evidence. Evidence of discipline, evidence of sacrifice, evidence that you didn't fold when friction showed up. You want confidence? Earn it. Confidence without sacrifice is delusion. Confidence after pain is authority. Authority doesn't beg. It radiates. And here's the part nobody says out loud. You're already bleeding. Time, energy, attention. The only decision left is whether the blood purchases comfort or transformation. The market doesn't care about your intentions. It cares about output. Your competitors aren't emotional. They're consistent. Consistency beats intensity. Every time. So ask yourself, what comfort are you protecting? Late night scrolling? Safe social circles? Low expectations? Mediocre standards? Identify it. Because that's your real enemy. Not lack of opportunity. Not lack of resources. Attachment to ease. You don't eliminate comfort entirely. You control it. Use it strategically. Not habitually. Rest with purpose. Not avoidance. Recovery with intention. Not escape. Pressure creates diamonds. But pressure also crushes the unprepared. Preparation means training your response to discomfort. Cold showers aren't magic. Early mornings aren't magic. What's magic is proving to yourself that you can override resistance. Repeatedly, that proof rewires you. And once rewired, your baseline shifts. Hard becomes normal. Normal becomes light. Light becomes boring. Then you seek challenge automatically. That's evolution. Comfort kept you safe as a child. It will keep you average as a man. Different stage, different rules. Upgrade accordingly. Everything costs. The question isn't whether you'll pay. It's whether you'll pay intentionally or unconsciously. Because either way, payment is extracted. Execute who you were. Growth doesn't begin with addition. It begins with elimination. The strongest version of you is buried under layers of outdated identity, old habits, old reactions, old standards, old coping mechanisms. You don't need more tools. You need removal. The version of you that avoids discomfort must be dismantled, not improved. Dismantled. Because you cannot negotiate with weaknesses. You outgrow it, or it controls you. Here's the mistake most men make. They try to build discipline without destroying the identity that resists it. That identity survives. It waits, then sabotages progress the moment stress rises. That's why you relapse. Not because you lack ambition, because your old identity is still alive. Every level demands a funeral. New income level, old spending habits die. New physique, old eating patterns die. New discipline, old excuses die. Evolution is violent. Not externally, internally. You admire transformation arcs, but you ignore the hidden cost. Isolation, loneliness, misunderstanding. People won't clap when you detach. They'll question you, mock you, distance themselves, because your growth exposes their stagnation. That's the social tax, and most people fold there. You cannot evolve and remain fully understood. Choose approval or ascension. Both rarely coexist. Identity death feels uncomfortable because familiarity feels safe, even if it's mediocre. You'd rather stay known than become unknown. But the unknown is where expansion lives. Familiar environments shrink ambition. New environments stretch it. Stretching hurts. Comfort wants preservation. Ambition demands destruction. Which voice dominates you? Right now, your self-image is your ceiling. If you see yourself as average, you'll subconsciously reject elite behavior. If you see yourself as undisciplined, you'll defend lazy decisions. Self-image dictates tolerance. Raise the image. Raise the behavior. But raising self-image isn't affirmations. It's evidence. You prove it to yourself through action that contradicts your old narrative. You wake up when you don't feel like it. You train when excuses scream. You execute when procrastination whispers. Each act rewrites identity, line by line. Weak identity seeks comfort. Strong identity seeks challenge, not because it enjoys pain, because it values expansion more than ease. That's maturity. There's a brutal realization coming. You might not actually want the life you claim. You might just want the aesthetics of it. The status, the recognition, the image, without the internal restructuring. And restructuring is brutal. It rearranges priorities. Destroys convenience. Demands obsession. The marketplace doesn't reward interest. It rewards obsession. Casual effort produces casual results. Elite results require relentless alignment. Alignment costs flexibility. Flexibility feels comfortable. See the pattern? Everything costs. You cannot carry your old emotional reactions into a higher level life. Overthinking, seeking validation, reacting impulsively, escaping pressure. Those habits were survival tools. They are now liabilities. Upgrade or be capped. Look at your current results. That's the byproduct of your current identity, not your potential, your identity. Change identity, results shift. Maintain identity, outcomes repeat. It's mechanical. Here's the execution protocol. Step 1. Audit your patterns without emotion. Where do you fold? Where do you rationalize? Where do you dilute standards? Write it down. Clarity is lethal. Step 2. Introduce friction intentionally. Cold environments, hard deadlines, public commitments, physical training, not for aesthetics, for psychological hardening. Step 3. Cut exposure to low-standard influence. Environment programs you. If mediocrity surrounds you, your ambition suffocates quietly. You don't rise above your inputs consistently. Control inputs. Control direction. Step 4. Adopt an alter ego if necessary. Not fake. Strategic. A version of you that operates above emotion. Call him when resistance appears. Train that state. Eventually it becomes default. This isn't about becoming emotionless. It's about becoming disciplined despite emotion. Feel discomfort. Execute anyway. Feel doubt. Move anyway. Feel resistance. Override anyway. Repetition creates dominance. The reason most people stay stuck isn't lack of opportunity. It's emotional attachment to who they've been. Familiar suffering feels safer than unfamiliar growth. But unfamiliar growth is the gateway to everything you claim you want. Ask yourself directly, who must disappear for your next level to exist? The procrastinator, the approval seeker, the comfort addict. Name him, then starve him. No drama, just discipline. You don't kill identity in one grand moment. You starve it daily. Each disciplined act is a vote against the old you. Votes accumulate. Eventually, the old identity loses power, and silence replaces resistance. That's when you level up. The world will not announce your evolution. No trumpet, no applause, just subtle shifts. Confidence stabilizes. Decision-making sharpens. Tolerance for nonsense drops. Standards rise. Presence intensifies. People feel it before they understand it. That's earned the aura. But remember, if you stop feeding the new identity, the old one resurfaces. Regression is always waiting. Maintenance is mandatory. Elite isn't a destination, it's a maintenance contract, and it's paid daily. Everything costs. If you refuse to eliminate weakness, weakness eliminates potential. No neutrality. No safe middle. Either you consciously dismantle who you were, or life does it for you, through regret. Choose your demolition method. Acceleration creates separation. When your standards rise, your environment shifts. Conversations that once entertained you start sounding repetitive. Ambitions that once felt bold now feel basic. It's not arrogance, it's awareness. You've changed pace. Not everyone runs at the same speed. Growth disrupts dynamics. Friends who bonded over comfort won't always bond over discipline. People who enjoyed your availability won't enjoy your boundaries. When you start saying no more than yes, you'll notice distance forming. That distance is data. Isolation is misunderstood. It isn't about being alone. It's about being focused. There's a phase in every serious transformation where distractions fall away before alignment arrives. That gap feels empty. But emptiness creates clarity. Noise reduction sharpens direction. Most people retreat here. They text the old group. They return to old routines. They soften standards just to feel included again. Because belonging feels safer than elevation. But elevation requires temporary detachment. You cannot upgrade your life while clinging to habits that anchor you. Silence becomes your training ground. No validation, no applause, no reassurance, just you and the work. This is where identity stabilizes. When you keep executing without external reward, that's when discipline becomes internal. Not performance, not image, structure. If fewer people understand you right now, it's not failure. it's filtration. Weak alignment falls away. When clarity intensifies, and let it fall. You're not meant to resonate with everyone. You're meant to evolve beyond old versions of yourself. Isolation is the bridge. Cross it, comfort preserves. Pressure transforms. And transformation requires intensity. You don't discover capacity in calm environments. You discover it under demand. Deadlines compress you. Competition sharpens you. Responsibility matures you. These aren't threats. They're catalysts. Pressure exposes cracks, poor time management, emotional instability, lack of preparation, weak endurance. Good. Now you see the weak points. Now you can reinforce them. Without pressure, you live unaware. Unaware people stay average. You don't need less stress. You need stronger structure. Structure absorbs stress. Routine absorbs chaos. Standards absorb temptation. When your system is strong, pressure becomes fuel. When your system is weak, pressure becomes panic. Upgrade the system. Elite performers don't wait to feel ready. They create environments that demand readiness, higher expectations, stricter timelines, clearer consequences. That's self-imposed pressure, voluntary difficulty. That's power. Because when you choose discomfort, you control it. When you avoid discomfort, it controls you. Your nervous system adapts to repetition. Expose it to challenge consistently, and challenge stops feeling threatening. Hard workouts, hard conversations, hard decisions. Repeated exposure builds psychological callus. And once calloused, you stop flinching. That's edge. Pressure is not your enemy. Fragility is. Fragility disappears when you stop negotiating with discomfort. Leverage pressure. Don't escape it. This isn't motivation. It's math. Every action compounds. Every delay compounds. Every standard compounds. The trajectory is silent until it isn't. 5 years of discipline looks like talent. 5 years of avoidance looks like bad luck. Neither is random. Both are accumulated decisions. You're already paying with time, with attention, with energy. The question is allocation. Are you investing or consuming? Consumption feels good immediately. Investment feels painful immediately. But only one builds authority. At some point, clarity hits. No more blaming environment. No more blaming circumstances. Just ownership. Total ownership. Your habits created this. Your standards allowed this. Your discipline shaped this. Your discipline can reshape it. There is a version of you that operates at a higher level, more controlled, more precise, more disciplined, less reactive, less distracted. That version isn't fantasy. It's untrained. And training requires friction. Friction requires sacrifice. Sacrifice requires loss. Everything costs. The final decision isn't loud. It's internal. You either commit or you continue negotiating. Commitment simplifies life. Negotiation complicates it because negotiation leaves escape routes. Commitment burns them. You don't rise to goals. You rise to standards. Raise them. Lock them. Live by them. Even when no one sees it. Especially when no one sees it. One path protects comfort. One path builds capability. Both hurt. But only one builds respect. And respect, once earned internally, changes how you walk, how you speak, how you decide, how you tolerate nonsense. Time doesn't pause. It invoices. Daily. You can ignore the invoice. It still accumulates. So decide deliberately. What are you willing to bleed for? Comfort or capacity? Because the cost is coming either way. Hesitation is the most expensive choice of all.